Hi, I'm Dani Gasparini, and welcome to this segment of Penn Voice. I'm joined today by Deryk Daquigan, who is the Deputy Program Manager for San Mateo for the Clean Water Program. Deryk, welcome.
Thank you.
Before we dive into what exactly the Clean Water Program is in San Mateo, you operate under or within the Public Works umbrella. Yes. So tell us a little bit about what Public Works departments for all municipalities typically deal with, and then we're going to dive right into what you are doing with the Clean Water Program.
So typically, Public Works deals with a lot of the transportation-related projects and roadway improvement projects and overall maintaining that infrastructure. It also deals with the utilities as well, such as storm drain facilities. And in my case, I'm working on the sewer infrastructure and helping to not only operate and maintain it, but also to provide capital improvements to the overall system.
So you really are the unsung heroes of our communities. We rarely see you,
Yes.
but you're the ones that keeping all of our infrastructure and our roads functional and our waters getting to our taps and all sorts of things. So
yes.
Thank you for all that you do.
You're welcome.
We're here to talk about the Clean Water Program for San Mateo. Tell us a little bit about what that entails, and it sounds like you've got a pretty big sewer system.
Yeah, the Clean Water Program has mainly 3 goals. The first is to replace the aging infrastructure within the collection system as well as the wastewater treatment plant. The second is to meet current and future regulatory requirements set forth by the Environmental Protection Agency and Regional Water Quality Control Board. And lastly is to align with the sustainability goals of the city. And a couple years ago, the Regional Water Quality Control Board issued a cease and desist order mandating the elimination of sanitary sewer overflows. And this is one of the drivers that's sparking us to move forward with the program and project activities that we have going on.
So it sounds like every municipality is going to be dealing with this issue in some form or another.
Yes.
So how is San Mateo then going to move forward with the project?
San Mateo, it's not just one project, it's a plethora of projects within the program. And within our collection system, there are strategically pinpointed and selected pipe segments that we're going to be either upsizing or constructing new facilities. We're going to be rehabilitating some of those pipelines throughout the entire system. We're also doing pump station improvements, doing upgrades to those existing facilities or replacing some of the equipment within those facilities, and also constructing a brand new underground in-system storage facility that will be used during peak wet weather conditions. And then within our treatment plant, there's a lot of older facilities that are 75 years or older that have older technologies and will not allow us to meet the current as well as future regulatory requirements if we continue to maintain the system the way it is. And so we're replacing a lot of the facilities at the treatment plant with brand new facilities that have a lot newer technologies that allow us to meet the regulations.
Well, it sounds like it's a pretty complex puzzle to put together.
Yes.
So how will this affect residences? Are you going to be pulling up streets to replace pipes underground all throughout the city? How will you prioritize what happens first?
So part of the planning efforts of the Clean Water Program, we did a ton of engineering studies, some planning efforts, looked at hydraulic modeling as well as historical data reviews, and we did master planning efforts and validation studies to really look at all the different approaches that we could approach the issues and resolve the issues for. And replacing all the pipes was actually one of the things that we looked at, but ultimately it's too impactful. We would have to rip up essentially all the streets and potentially even a lot of people's backyards. And not only is it impactful to the residents and to the community, but it would take a lot longer and a lot more money. So we stepped away from that, and now we have this comprehensive approach that strategically locates certain areas within the
critical
within the
areas,
system.
right.
Yes, the critical areas that will help to resolve the capacity issues and meet the regulatory requirements that we're trying to address.
So then the first thing that our viewers may say is, who's going to pay for it, and how will you then notify folks that these kinds of improvements are going to be happening in their neighborhoods?
So before we talk about who pays for it, the Clean Water Program ultimately cost $900 million over a span of 10 years. It's estimated to be completed by fiscal year 2025, 26. And in terms of who's going to pay for that $900 million, it's really whoever connects to the sewer system and whoever contributes wastewater flows to it. And ultimately, the city of San Mateo and the property owners of it are the main majority payers of this $900 million. But it's really whoever connects, and there are some people or agencies outside of San Mateo that are also contributing to our wastewater infrastructure, and that includes the city of Foster City, the town of Hillsborough, Crystal Springs County Sanitation District, and the county of San Mateo, and they're all paying their fair share of this $900 million cost. So the $900 million isn't a full burden just on the city of San Mateo, but all these contributors to the system.
So what happens if you didn't do this project?
Good question. So if we didn't do it, the system, once we do an upgrade, once we put in a new pipe into the ground, it already starts to age, deteriorate, and eventually fails. And so all the existing pipes are going through that process right now of continuing to age, deteriorate, and fail. And eventually, this as we wait longer, it will the system will be less reliable. And so once it's less reliable, it puts us in serious risk of continuing having sanitary sewer overflows.
Well, health issues,
right.
I mean, at the very least.
And that's a significant health issue. And if we continue to have these sanitary sewer overflows, the Regional Water Quality Control Board will potentially fine us,
right.
and the city will have to pass on those fines to the ratepayers, which would potentially increase how much they're paying overall. So the longer we wait, the more expensive it will get, not just because of potential fines, but overall escalation costs and changing interest rates.
And didn't you mention in the beginning that part of this whole program is actually new mandates?
Yes.
So that you really don't have a choice whether you do it or not do it. It's part of what you're talking about today,
right.
is mandated by the Water Quality Board.
Yes, that's correct.
So we've kind of talked about who pays for them and how it's going to be done, but does it come out of your sewer rate bill? Will those rates go up? How are people going to find out and learn a little bit more about these increases and how they will happen and how they will be calculated?
Right. So in the past, we had 2 community meetings in March, helping to educate the community about why we need some sewer rate increases, because ultimately all the funds come from sewer charge bills, and sewer charge bills are tacked on to county property tax rolls that property owners pay. And at these meetings, we have a couple of meetings coming up in May as well as in June, in which the community can participate in and learn more about why we need to do it. But ultimately, the structure of charging the customers is 100% volumetric, meaning the more you use, the more you pay. And we have this rate, and this is the only component that the city can control, and it's based on revenue needs. And then the other component of the equation is usage, and this is something that the community and all the property owners control. And over the past couple of years, rates usage has dropped, even though rates have increased. The simple equation is when you multiply rate times usage, you get your charge bill. But even though we were raising rates over the last couple of years, usage has decreased, and so sewer bills at the end were essentially staying the same. And now there is—
And costs were increasing.
Right, and so there's a revenue shortfall. The costs of improvements are growing, and we need to make up that revenue shortfall in order to fund the improvements. And that's why this year we're proposing a 36% rate increase. And that's specifically for the rate, and we're predicting that the average usage will remain the same, and that right now is about 500 cubic feet of wastewater usage a month. And what the 36% equates to is our current rate is $9.05. It increases by 36% to $12.31. And so when you multiply $12.31 times the average usage of 500 cubic feet, it's about an average monthly cost of $61 or so.
So at the end of this, the infrastructure will be fairly new all across the board, very innovative and probably state-of-the-art, because you're going to be implementing the latest in technology to do a lot of this processing. Yes. You're done for the next— your infrastructure is done for the next 50 years. I mean, what's the longevity of the project then?
Well, ultimately, lifespans of the different materials that we're using continuously change. Some of the plastics in the pipes can last up to 100 years now, as opposed to some of the other facilities that have been and materials that have been used in the past. And the wastewater treatment plant, that we're identifying technologies and facilities that will not only meet current regulatory requirements, but future regulatory requirements too, and future-proofing.
It's great to see that you've really been thinking of what the future and the long-term viability will be, and not just this short-term fix. I appreciate that you've brought that forward to us. And thanks so much, Deryk, for taking the time to tell us about the Clean Water Program in San Mateo. We look forward to having you give us some updates along the way.
Thank you, Dani.
And we'll see all of you next time on Penn Voice.